Greetings to you all. Kwantlani Mulivi here on KM Online. I want to assume that this is the second time that we meet with you, my audience. Like the past time when I introduced the channel, I'll be bringing in quite good vibes to you concerning matters that matter to you. And particularly today, I am with Ndate Teboho Makwetlane, a friend of mine and a seasoned professional in his own right. And I want to say to you, Ndate Makwetlane, please greet our viewers.
Thank you, Ndate Mlifi. Greetings to you all. I hope you're having a restful and joyful weekend. I hope you're all well. Thank you, Ndate.
Okay, thank you, Ndate Makwetlane. So today we are here to navigate a very important question. And within the program that I did highlight last time called Icon Mentality, where we deal with the respect for individuality and the importance of team spirit, termed under confluence, and the importance of optimism and a positive mindset, and lastly, life skills, termed under navigation. And so, in the context of that, we will be dealing with the importance of retirement planning as part of life skills that would fall under navigation series. And
Okay.
it has been a very important question for me, which I met throughout early in my employment and professional life, particularly when I first joined Metropolitan Lesotho, and they work with insurance definitely, and therefore retirement planning. And that was the first time when I really saw and realized the importance of preparing for retirement. And by the way, that was the first time when I first knew that Makwetlane.
Yeah.
So Ndate Makwetlane will be shedding light into this important topic I've just introduced. And without any further waste of time, Ndate Makwetlane, please briefly introduce yourself to our viewers, and then highlight your expertise in the area of financial planning.
All right, Ndate. Thank you so much, and thank you as well to your audience. I have been in in this industry now for 16 years. Started as a salesperson selling pension funds to corporates in Lesotho. Kingsway became my favorite street to be as a salesperson. You have an obligation to know your town. I used to walk from Kingsway to Cathedral, looking for employers, small and big, who do not have our solutions. And in my journey as a salesperson, I grew to become.
I'm not sure if it's on my side. Maybe the viewers do hear you, but I think you could raise your voice a bit more.
Okay. Let me project a bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I later moved into financial planning At the time, the responsibility to educate members, to educate employers about the solutions, pretty much still rested with pension funds administrators. And at the time, I worked for Metropolitan Lesotho, and we realized that you cannot just sell for the sake of selling. You need to sell, you need to educate, you need to empower clients to understand what you are selling. And then, of course, being a hard worker that I believe that I am, I got promoted into management of the same space as a client service manager in the employee benefits space. And I would say at the time, I was one of the few professionals in the space because pension funds were predominantly managed in SA. Most service providers had a link with SA, and most of the work was done by people from SA. So I was one of the first people who were on the ground, who were Basotho citizen holders. Um, and then I later ventured out into broking. I worked for a company called Aon, which is now Minet Lesotho, specializing in employee benefits and investment consulting. But the target was still retirement funds. I worked there for 4 years as the head of that division. And I believe one of the most exciting assignments I've ever done. A very small team, a huge and prestigious book of business that included massive corporates in the country and probably top two private pension funds at the time and currently. And as a young manager and professional, I felt I was challenged and confronted with the reality to demonstrate that we are capable as Basotho, and we indeed demonstrated. We grew that business, and one of the most profound things I remember at the time, we used to lose business a lot. We stopped losing business. We grew the business and even ventured into investment consulting. I think the second investment consulting license that Central Bank has ever issued was the Minet one. Um, After another entity that I can't mention here. um, it it became so exciting, but I started asking myself existential questions. At the time, I think I had now done almost
We are
10
not
years
yet. We are not yet there.
uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe one day I will say, please don't mention names and stuff. But for now, no.
I can just
You
shoot.
can mention company.
All right, I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
So after asking myself a question about my professional future and aspirations, I decided to move out of retirement funding, consulting, and governance into healthcare funding. I moved to a company called Mammoth Health or Mammoth Employee Benefits at the time. It's a medical aid company. I worked there for 2 and about 4 months as a chief executive. But during the same time, my love for retirement funding remained. Uh, and I kept myself interested by participating in any industry related webinars just to make sure that I don't lose that touch. After the Mammoth assignment, I moved into consulting, freelance consulting. In fact, I actually took a career break, if there's anything like that, um, from the 8 to 5 series of work. And I think that's where I learned other areas of retirement funding that maybe I was not able to tap into while I was still working for corporate. Did a lot of work in trustee work, governance related work, and this was after 2019, after the promulgation of the Pension Funds Act of 2019, which required professionals on the ground with the implementation of the Act So I worked for the Rainmaker Umbrella Fund that is sponsored by Metropolitan Lesotho for about 2 years as the principal officer, and helped with the compliance and governance work that was necessary in the after the enactment of the Pension Funds Act. 2 years later, I went back to healthcare funding, got a job as a general manager at Metropolitan Health Lesotho. But my functions and responsibilities in the retirement fund side remained. I remained a trustee for the Rainmaker Umbrella Fund and also a key stakeholder in terms of organizational memory, not just organizational and industry memory, um, um, which is a role I play whether I'm employed or not. I think that's a bit of my history. Currently, I'm still at Metropolitan as the general manager. It's been a year and 6 months now. So yeah, that was a long introduction.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. But quite revealing as to who you are and what you have been doing and what you are doing at the current moment. Yes. I have a couple of questions just to allow you to talk to our viewers about this very important topic. So can you share with us the elements, the core elements of a well-structured retirement plan?
A very important question that there are three pillars of a great retirement fund. Any book, any course that you will pick that talks about this topic will tell you start early. Time is the biggest variable of a retirement planning or plan. The earlier you start, the better. And I think my wish already is that your audience will be young people between the age of 21 at least and 29 who have started working, because they tend to think that they are not ready to plan for retirement. They're busy enjoying their life. So the earlier you start, the better. That's
Yeah.
pillar number one. Pillar number two is how much you
Wow.
put into the retirement plan. What we can call your contributions level. Your contributions, how much you contribute into the retirement plan, is critical because it is going to determine how much your money multiplies. So we say, as a thumb, what do you call that? As a rule of thumb, yes, you need to contribute a minimum of
Yes,
15%. A minimum of 15%, and I'm going to talk about some of these variables later. Over a period of a minimum of 30 years, then you will be able to build up a retirement plan or a
So
retirement wealth that replaces your
15% of what?
pre-retirement income. 15% of your total income. And I think we also make the mistake of saying 15% of salary. So let me make a quick example. Here is Mr. Pomolo, who earns 1,000 per month at his job where he works 8 to 5, but he also earns 2,000 from his farm where he sells eggs and tomatoes. If his retirement plan is based on the 1,000 only, that retirement plan has been heavily understated and therefore will not deliver the power that he needs at retirement. But if his contributions are based on 3,000, which will be 1,000 plus 2,000, then he will be able to replace his pre-retirement income sufficiently at retirement. So it has to be 15% of total earnings, personal earnings. Now, the third pillar.
Yes, I think we got cut somehow there because of the pure connection. So I want to just before we pass the example, I want to assume you said he was collecting 3,000 maybe as salary, and then 1,000 from other sources. Did you say that?
So it's 1,000 as his salary from his employer, and 2,000 from his farm.
Okay.
The money he makes from
Okay.
selling eggs and potatoes or tomatoes.
Okay.
If he contributes from
Okay.
the 1,000 only, he has a
Yes.
weak retirement plan. But if he combines that and says, I will contribute
Okay.
15% of 3,000, then we know that we're going somewhere. Now, the last variable, which unfortunately
Okay.
we don't control as investors or potential retirees, is investments. How much does your money fetch from the investment markets? But there's also another rule of thumb, which says at least your investments must grow by inflation plus 4%. Now, we want to make sure that as your money grows, it keeps its purchasing power. There is no use for you to invest 1,000. A year later, you get 10% from the investments market, but inflation has also grown by 10%. It means that your money in real terms has not grown. So what we want is a real growth of a minimum of 4% over a period of 30 years, contributing 15% a minimum of 15% per month of your monthly earnings. So those are the basic elements in it.
Wow. So already you have touched a very key thing, which I want you maybe to expand a bit more about the importance of producing, which brings an element of saying you don't have to be employed for you to prepare for retirement. You may be a farmer, you may produce whatever you're producing, but you can still prepare for retirement. So I want you to elaborate on that issue a bit more. Now also taking into consideration entrepreneurship, because I want to assume that sometimes us as entrepreneurs, we tend to forget that one day we will retire. And ka Sesotho re qetella re kgabella hano, which means you make money and then you spend it, you make money, you spend it, you make it, you spend it, and all those kind of things. So please work around, for the audience, work around that issue of production, using your own hands, and maybe even being an entrepreneur in relation to retirement planning.
Absolutely, that, and I think the myth has been that entrepreneurs do not really have to think about pensions and provident funds because they pay themselves whenever they need to do so. There is truth in that statement, but I think what is important is whether you're an entrepreneur or you are a corporate entrepreneur, which is the employed ones, you are employed, whether by self or by another. At some point, your life will need rest, whether it is pushed by circumstances of health, circumstances of old age, you being unable to execute the demands of that business as you were in your younger ages. At some point, the body will require that you rest, and when you rest, we don't want your money to stop.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
the importance of retirement funding remains whether you are employed by
We
self
don't we don't want
another.
your money to rest.
No. You can rest, but not your money. Your money needs to keep on working until you die. Your money must continue working. So for entrepreneurs, one of the things that's, in fact, for everybody, retirement planning also has elements of estate planning. If you have good intentions about leaving legacy for your children and your children's children, you must think about retirement planning as a way also of passing wealth to the next generation. That's one way that I would like us to look at retirement planning. The second one is that at some point, you need to look at your business as an asset that you can convert into cash so that you can pursue other intentions of your life. For instance, you must look at your business as an asset that you can convert into cash when you turn 60 or 70 because you want to travel the world because all your grandkids and your children are scattered around the world. So if you look at your business as that asset that generates income, whether you're there or not, I think it gives us the opportunity to remove the myth that you need to save for retirement because you're hired or you're not hired. Also, that notion or that mentality is also historic. Pension funds were designed for employers. It was designed for corporates because they are the mass employers. They employ the highest number of people, and they had to think about social security considerations because if you are an employer, you are a hand of government to help government achieve certain social security imperatives. So that's how pension funds started. But it was not really because we wanted to exclude entrepreneurs. Whether you hire yourself, just one or two or three or 500, we all must think about retirement because it's going to happen. There are two certainties in this world. They say it's taxes and death, but I guarantee you, before death, sometimes retirement comes. And the question is, if you have not thought about it, then what? Because,
Powerful. Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes retirement, it can come so early because of ill health or because of other things. Retirement is both a financial issue and a psychological issue. So you need to engage instruments and tools that help you to think about it constantly as you anticipate its coming. Thank you, Net.
No, thank you so much. Thank you very much. I don't know if it's only me. I think I missed the third element. You said it's what?
So there are three elements. It's time, your investments, and your contributions. How much you contribute, how much your investments give you as a rate of return annually, and the time of your investment. Thank you.
I see. So share with us the role and importance of financial literacy in retirement planning.
It plays a critical role. It plays a role that has been underestimated and taken for granted by the industry, by service providers, even by the regulator. Not with bad intentions, but because we're all caught up with our priorities in our different corners. As a business working for Metropolitan, our priorities is to grow our business, sell. Of course, do minimum education so that people understand what you have sold to them. The regulator is also busy making sure that Metropolitan complies with certain market conduct obligations as well as customer education and protection. But there is no one entity, at least in Lesotho, that is independent from a regulator, independent from service providers, whose core function is customer education or financial literacy. And therein for me, and that they allow me to say this on your podcast, is an opportunity that can change the trajectory of this country's financial inclusion and financial aptitude in individuals and in corporates. The one
Interesting.
entity whose sole mandate will be financial literacy. So financial literacy is very important. Let me just make an example. Think about two adults who join the corporate world or an NGO somewhere. They earn 10,000. They both have a degree, and the other one has had money as part of his life. He understands how money works. At an age of 15, he got an easy equities account to trade on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and he has learned how markets work. He has learned that markets close at a certain time. They open it at a certain time, and therefore, if you want to trade in equities, the best way to go about it is to go with global equities because of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the other guy has money, the same 10,000. He is as frugal can be. He's not a money waster, but he doesn't know how money works. The best way he knows how to keep and make money work is to put it under a mattress. Those two people's trajectory and possibilities of financial progression are completely different because of what they know about money. So it is important to have a baseline of how money works. You don't need to have a degree in economics, or you don't need to be a chartered accountant, but you need to have a basic understanding of how money works. That money is not free. There is a cost to money. That's why even if you ask for money from your friend, there is a cost to that money, even if he doesn't charge interest. Can cost you that friendship, can
Yeah,
cost you so many
true,
things.
true.
You know, that's why you won't
Yeah.
go into a bank and then they give you money without charging at least 10%.
Uh-uh.
You know, so understanding
Yeah,
that
yeah.
principle and knowing how it applies to your life changes how you interact with the pension fund, for instance. Um, how money works also involves things like taxation, understanding how tax works. Right now in Lesotho, the Income Tax Act provides a 20% tax deductibility a comfort to people that contribute towards a pension fund. Knowing what that tax deductibility can do over 30 years, if you take advantage of it, if your employer says you should contribute 7.5% of your salary and you decide to do 10, understanding how that gives you a head start over your peers is what I attribute to what financial literacy can do to a retirement fund. Taking advantage of every concession, taking advantage of every
Wow.
knowledge that you have to enhance your retirement outcomes. Another example is in a fund that has what we call individual member choice, where an individual decides that, hey, I don't want to invest in a conservative investment. I want something aggressive because I'm young. I'm 25 years old. I don't want my money in something conservative. That knowledge, knowing that I want to invest in an aggressive because I have more than 20 years ahead of me. If markets crash, they will recover, and I'll definitely be ahead of the people that were in conservative investment, is what financial literacy will do to a retirement fund plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's powerful. That's quite powerful. So, in a nutshell, it's key for people to learn how money works and what is money for that matter. Now, what are the common challenges that most individuals deal with when they try and prepare for retirement?
Allow me that Mulifi to inspire your audience, I think books are quite important. I'd like to lift up this
Very,
book
very.
as a resource. I know you might ask me this question later, but this
The
knowledge
best,
is
the best pocket guides ever. Wow. For a
uh,
financially secure retirement. Okay.
retirement. Here's another one. Um, Become your own financial advisor.
Become your own financial advisor. Wow.
Correct. There are many other resources
Powerful,
here,
powerful.
but some of the things that they will highlight, also from my experience having
I
been in the
can
industry
tell,
for some
I
time.
can tell that
Um,
wall there, that that wall there. I
it's
can tell
loaded
there's
with
a lot there.
knowledge. Absolutely. The biggest challenge, you've already talked to it, it's literacy. Not knowing what your money can do and how your money should behave can be a huge impediment to a successful retirement. Um, Sometimes not knowing that it is important to keep your money invested, whether you leave this job or you go to the next or you do whatever, uh, knowing that touching that 500,000 that you've accumulated will cost you at retirement is some of the challenges that we find. Let me make an example. I leave
Yeah.
Metropolitan to go work for Aeon Lesotho. What do? Do I take the money I've accumulated, or do I move it to the next employer's pension fund or provident fund?
Hi.
Um, that's something we call
Gonagala ga e
preservation.
gabella ntate. Ay, 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 ay.
uh, I believe out of
Yes,
100
yes.
people, only two actually preserve their retirement fund savings and either into a preservation fund or transferring them into the next employer's
Oh,
retirement fund. So, which says
sure.
most people, when they get to retirement, they will not have enough money uh, to enjoy a decent life. That's the second challenge. The second challenge is we do not understand what we are saving for until it's too late. Now, let me explain it in a technical way and also a simple way. In a technical way, we use what we call income replacement ratio. Income replacement ratio, or IRR. Now, what we're saying is if you're going to retire at the age of 65, if your salary at 65 before you retire is 10,000, all your life savings or your retirement savings should be convertible into an income stream, monthly income stream for life. That gives you 7,500. Let me say that again. You earn
7.5.
10,000, 7,500, yes. Which means that you will have replaced 75% of your pre-retirement income. But every time you moved from one employer to another,
Sure.
and you chow whatever you had saved, you decrease the power of your retirement outcomes. That
Sure.
7,500 which we target, which is 75% replacement, might be 20%, might be 40%, depending on how you have been managing your three variables: your time, your investments, and your contributions. That's why if you have started late, you must not contribute 15% like someone who started early. You must make sure that you become very aggressive to catch up with your gaps. So what I'm explaining now is one of the biggest challenges in that. If you ask anyone who has a benefit statement from a pension fund, what are you saving towards? What is your objective? Most people do not understand that objective. It might be written on a brochure of the service provider who administers the pension fund, but they do not understand it for themselves, and they do not understand what touching it will affect now and 50 years or 40 years or 20 years from now. That is an understanding that every person must have, must be internalized, so that they understand, if I retire at 55, how will that affect my income replacement ratio? And here's a tricky thing about retirement. One of the challenges, what we call longevity. People are living long. I know the when you go through statistics books and things, they will tell you that our expectancy is life expectancy is whatever 45, but of the people that get to retirement, they live long. So if you live long after retirement, the question is, how long is your money? And that's a question that we need to be able to answer right now. I hope I've touched all the challenges.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, hey,
That
these are pretty scary revelations, you know.
they are.
Thank
They
you
are.
so much. So you have already alluded to the importance of goal setting in relation to
Yeah.
preparing for retirement.
Yeah.
Just make a few more comments and then we can pass to the next question.
I hope your audience knows that I love food. I'm a cook, and as I have a conversation with you, something is sizzling on the stove,
I
which
know
I
that.
need to quickly check. So I
Yeah.
just need to check that I'm not burning my
Right.
house. But I'll
All
continue
right.
conversing with you as I check my pots. So goal setting. I would like to throw an interesting variable to goal setting that they believe, and say family planning. How
Yes,
many
sir.
times when we do financial planning do we also consider the cost of family? I don't think a lot of people think about that. When your child turns
No.
20, where will your money be? When your child turns 5, how much will you have in your retirement plan? These are some of the things that we take for granted, and I'm not going to dictate how people make babies or when they make babies. But the fact is, a very sorry and terrible fact, is most parents now, they retire and find their children who just graduated, who are unemployed, waking up and sleeping without purpose. It's a fact. When I used to do my my retirement planning workshops, one of the things I used to say to parents, for you to have a successful retirement plan, have a goal about your kids. Your kids must vacate your house immediately after college. Let them go. And I know I'm young. Someone is going to say I'm speaking from a privilege of not having a kid at that age, but I'm preparing myself. And I tell my kids all the time, leave my house after college. Because retirement money is already small money. It's not equivalent to your pre-retirement income. So why are you sharing it with that person who's supposed to be creating their own retirement plan? So have a goal about your relationship with your kids at retirement. You'd rather spend that money with their kids, your grandkids, not them. So have a goal about that. Because if you don't, imagine your 10,000 scenario. You retire, you earn 10,000. You were faithful to your retirement plan. You never cashed out between jobs. You were always choosing the best investment strategy. And then you retire, you get a pension income of 7,500 every month. You have to pay your medical aid because there's no employer who will subsidize your medical aid. You have to buy food. You have to take care of yourself in general. And then there is this 22-year-old entitled friend who lives in your house who calls himself or herself your child. And they want a piece of that 7,500. I think it's unfair to your hard-earned history. So it's important. I'm very passionate about this one, the Dimlifi, and I know I insult a lot of parents.
And for that matter,
and
for that matter, what some of us consider that when we were their age, we were already navigating out here as to how can I make a living for myself. I was not under my father's roof after college, seeking for this and that. I went out, looked for a job, when I found one, launched my life and moved forward, you know?
Absolutely. And I'm not saying they should not necessarily live with you, but if the opportunity for them to leave comes, they must take it. If they get a job and still insist on living with you because they want to take care of you as the parent, or they want to take advantage of the no rent situation, that's fine. But you must keep them accountable. You must keep them responsible. If a duplex is 1.5, charge them 500 or 750, because we also don't want to create a future of irresponsible parents because we have allowed them to get things for free that were not supposed to be for free. Money is not free. Goal setting. A lot of people postpone enjoyment to retirement. So they get into employment, they work, they make babies, they raise babies, they become community leaders, and then they really never get to give themselves time to enjoy their money, to travel, to see the world, to eat the best of things.
This is very interesting.
And then you get to retirement, you're told you cannot enjoy your money because your child needs a 5,000 sneaker in your house. I don't believe in that. So because we postpone enjoyment to a later stage, we need to think about income replacement in a different way. You do not only need to replace your income, you also need to fund new activities. You want to travel, you want to start an orphanage, you want to go into agriculture, or you want to build a church, you want to build a hospital. All those things, they have to be funded. If you're going to fund them from your 7,500 pot, it means that you are actually understating your expenses, your living expenses. So what will be important is to categorize your life now to say, what do I want in the future and what do I want now, so that you can create a balance. You must have a pot for traveling. I'm going to put 100 Rand every month so that after 24 months, I can go to Cape Town and spend a week without feeling it in my pocket. So that you don't demand traveling later and you have not funded it, you have not provided for it later. You had only provided living expenses later. So you need to make sure that your goals, there's a two sides to it. There is enjoyment now, there's enjoyment in the future, and both need to be funded now. I think that's the most powerful thing about retirement planning. Whether we're talking about enjoyment tomorrow or enjoyment today, they both demand attention from your pocket today. And the ability to budget and prioritize and say, I will not travel immediately because I don't have ticket money now. I will instead create a savings account that will help me fund my travel in 24 months. Ke fumane tshimo Sefikeng, ke ya keretse pedi di tlo cost 100,000. Ha ke na yona tjena, but I need that a piece of land to be secured in the next 2 years. So ke tla etsa tje. So you do not
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
because I'm focusing on retirement, I can't plan for other things. So your ability to have a clarity of vision of your life, of the things that are important to you, and making sure that you learn how to be a funder of those things now. Sometimes you
Yeah.
need to have mokgatlo o fundang ditsha tsa hao fela. Hore ha ke kena mekgatlo, ke tlo kena mekgatlo e leng hore ha o share-wa selemo se fela ke reka tshimo, ke reka site. That's a funding mechanism you can use to fund your goals, to prioritize your goals. So as long as we can understand and grasp this,
Oh,
all your goals,
this is powerful.
all the things you desire from life, whether you want to enjoy today. If I want to go out tonight with my friends and have a good time, it's funded from salary ya kgwedi ena e fetileng. If I want to increase my retirement funding, it's still funded from the same salary. Our ability to learn how to prioritize, clarity of vision of the things that we want from life, and know how to fund each.
Yes.
And that.
No, thank you so much. I think I still have a lot on my plate, but when I look at the time and drive towards wrapping up today's session, which is quite important and very revealing. So, can someone adjust their retirement plans as they progress?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll make an example with people that are participators in employer-sponsored pension or provident funds. There is what we call additional voluntary contributions. So if a fund has a standard total contribution of 10%, you can make a decision to say, human resources or human capital, please deduct an extra 5% so that I can accelerate my savings. Remember those three variables: contributions, which talks to your accumulation, the time when you started, and then the investment returns that you get from your investments. All of them you can actually adjust. You can adjust contributions, you can add more to your contributions, and then you can make sure that even your other earnings, a sitting allowance from a board somewhere, if you are in the business here, network marketing, o rekisa mekotlana ya honey kapa o rekisa mahe, make sure that whatever you get there, you also take a piece of that and put in a retirement related plan somewhere. Make sure that maybe the only thing you don't have is time. And because you don't have time, you might have to use investment and contributions to do the adjustment. Move into a more aggressive portfolio if you feel your fund is not grown in the pace that it should grow. So it is allowed. It is something that you're supposed to be thinking about. Your administrator or your pension consultant should be able to tell you at a point in time to say you have accumulated this much, but we don't think you will retire with sufficient retirement money. Therefore, we propose this kind of adjustments. For the entrepreneurs who are not in an employer related, you have a lot of flexibility there. You actually can buy property and land towards retirement and decide to hold that land or develop it because you know that at retirement it will be worth so many millions, which will be equivalent to the money you need at retirement, or the rental income would have grown so much to make sure that you live your life like nothing has happened. So the adjustment could be another property. The adjustment could be diversifying your business into things that will not be hit when COVID comes. When another shock comes in the economy, you know that I will do, for instance, business here because hey, daily bread in that day is protected by the Lord Himself. So definitely you always have money.
Amen.
So at any point, you need to be thinking about adjustment. At a point in time, you need to be able to assess. if I was to retire 20 years from now at the rate at which I'm accumulating, at the rate at which I'm investing, will I retire comfortably? If the answer is no, adjust. Find the best tools to adjust. Find the best tax efficient ways to do the adjustment, because tax is also another variable that is quite critical in the retirement planning conversation. The ways to adjust, there's many ways, and I'm hoping we'll get a chance to just delve into that at another time for different people. I think the mistake we've made as financial services people is to limit retirement planning solutions to insurance and pension products. There's many ways we can answer the same need with other non-conventional instruments.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is pretty powerful. I wish there was time, you know. So can you share some practical tips? Tips that someone who is watching and listening, who immediately after this could say, wow, I'm going to do this immediately in relation to retirement planning.
The first thing I'll tell the audience is empower yourself. The most practical one is read. Read about money, read about retirement, psychological part and financial part of retirement. Empower yourself to a point where you can start asking questions from your service providers. Read the Pension Funds Act. That act was written for you first as a consumer. In fact, you are the object of that act. Service providers are secondary because without you, there is no industry, there is no Metropolitan, there is no Alliance, there is no LNIG, there is no NBC, there's no one, all the players in that industry. So it is important that you empower yourself with knowledge that help you understand your journey, with knowledge that help you understand the mechanics of that journey. If you hear on the news that MTN as a share, as an equity on your portfolio, has hired a new CEO that was involved in a scandal 10 years ago, what does that give you in terms of potential to destroy your portfolio? And I would like to share this. They do not pay me. There's a platform called easyequities.co.za. Go into that platform, register, enroll onto their online platform of a virtual university of investments, and learn how investments work. You can subscribe onto the Easy Equities app and do a dummy account and start trading in shares that are listed on Johannesburg Stock Exchange and other exchanges. And make sure that when an investment report comes, you can interact with it. You can infer from it to say, if this report says this, therefore my future will be as such. Without empowering yourself, everything else I'm going to tell you today will not make sense. Everything else that we are going to tell you today will not yield any results. Empower yourself. I think that's the biggest thing that I think the audience should come out of this podcast. Thank you, Dad.
That's powerful, and maybe I could make a brief comment there also to say, produce more now, because
Absolutely.
when when you become a producer, you become a potential seller. In that when you have more than you need for today, you attract the eyes of those who need what you have more, and the income you may get from such people, then you can share it with your current self and your future self who will be retiring one day. So
spot on.
Yeah, it's also important that people increase their capacity to earn, you know.
Yep.
So yep. I you have already shared about easy equities. Are there
Yeah.
more tools and resources you could share just to assist people to prepare for retirement? You have already talked about reading books. You talked about easy equities as an example of websites that can assist. And I'm here thinking of even some people may not enjoy reading. Other people may enjoy watching stuff. So what more tools could you suggest?
Yeah. So I love and believe in resources and tools that are accessible to everyone. I've already talked about Easy Equities, which is a platform that Mosotho a Tabateka kapa ya haeso maputsing can subscribe to. That's one. Two, I would like to recommend that you talk to people that know. There are financial planners and financial advisors in this country that have dedicated their lives to the understanding of how this space works. And I would like you to meet them. Some of them are available on social media. And I would like to just highlight a gentleman by the name of Nchaha Munyani. He's doing an amazing job. Approach people like him and get assistance.
Yeah.
Tikison Tebe is
A, a,
another one.
a good
Sorry.
a good friend of mine.
Ah, fantastic. Another person that I trust in that space is Tukison Tebe. So approach these people and make sure that you have a conversation with them for your life, setting goals together, and they will share their own tools into how you can improve your outcomes. The other low-hanging tool is your employer-sponsored pension fund has a consultant or a broker. Engage that person. They get a fee, they get a commission for providing insights and advice to you so that you are empowered to make better decisions and achieve higher and better retirement outcomes. So if you Google Retirement 101, more than 1 million websites will come. The question is, will you dare to type Retirement 101 and actually follow the learnings of that website? Galiban doesn't believe.
This is pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. You said retirement 101, yeah?
Yes, sir.
That's what you said. I want to highlight it there for our audience to just see it there on the screen.
And I
yes,
can
thank you so much.
There's a lot of resources there.
Makwetlani. Yeah. So for your time to be on this this podcast and share so much with the audience. So before we part ways, are there any comments that you would want to make as final words to KM online audience?
My parting shot in that day, congratulations on launching this platform. I believe content is the future. People are not reading as much as they used to. They're always looking for the next best platform that gives them powerful nuggets of life without paging through 1,000 pages. So I'm grateful that you have taken this initiative. It's a bold move, and I would like to commend you for taking it. A lot of people have been thinking about it, but you have done it. So kudos to you. To the audience, I would like to say empower yourself.
Thank you
once
so
again.
much.
Empower yourself. Go and read about the Pension Funds Act. Go and read the Income Tax Act. It has provisions that help you to improve your outcomes. And find a book that talks about money somewhere. Find a book that talks about the things that matter to you, and and be consistent in empowering yourself. And lastly, have fun. Don't wait to have fun at the end of retirement. You might actually not retire. You might die before retirement. It's a fact in that belief. So enjoy yourself,
Hmm.
but make sure that
Yeah.
in the enjoyment, understand that you have to fund enjoyment now and fund enjoyment later. So learn the tactics of creating that balance, and you will have an amazing life. Thank you so much, Indad.
So for someone who would want to contact you, um, because definitely this talk has sparked something from someone who is heading a certain organization or heading a certain role within some agency of some sort, and they would want to meet you, talk to you from a professional point of view for whatever they may need. How can they get you?
They can reach me on LinkedIn. They can reach me on 5888 7160. They can also reach me on debuho.makwetlani@metropolitan.co.ls. Thank you, Nat.
At least let me highlight the number 58887160. That's what you
Correct.
said?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm sorry for the rest of the others. You said they will have to replay the video to get the email and all that in the interest of time. So thank you very
Nice.
much again. And as we bow out, I want to thank you in a special way again, and thank the audience who took time to watch this revealing episode. And indeed, we will come to the second one to venture more into this labyrinth of retirement planning sphere, which you enjoy so much. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And until next time, when we meet again, Datuma Kwetlane, I want to really say thank you and thank you. Can you salute the audience members as you bow out, sir?
The pleasure is all mine, Datumlifi, and I would like to thank your audience as well. It's a good thing to know that there is someone listening on the other end, so that Makwebana and Zirachel is not in vain. That
Exactly.
valuable.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, my friends. We will talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers, Ned.
Thank you very much, our beloved audience, for being with us for this particular episode. Just for a few seconds, I want to say this is very important, that which we have just discussed, and please take heed and use these tips for yourself. And before I close, I want to share a scripture with you from the book of First Timothy, chapter 5, verse 8, which reads as follows: But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So please, as someone who has people they live with, we are confluent beings. We live with others. We need each other. Understand that it is your duty to take care of those whom you relate with, whether it's community members, whether it's friends, family members. But scripture here it says especially those of your house. If you fail to take care of them, if you fail to provide for their future, you are likened by the Lord to someone who doesn't believe in Him. So I'm saying this in relation to what we have just discussed today, to say it is key that you keep your ability to take care of yourself and others alive. So always remember that one day you'll get old and be a bit more inefficient in terms of working around making life. So take care of your health, take care of your finances, take care of your assets, take care of your ability to produce. Until we meet again next time, I want to say thank you very much and Godspeed. May God be with you until then. From me, Kwantlani Mulifi, from KM Online. Adios.